So, Imaginarium Theater. It is finally out, and with it we have a new endgame activity in Genshin, and in this video I will go over everything you need to know when it comes to it and how to beat it at even the highest difficulty level. Let me tell you right away, it is not as difficult as the Spiral Abyss. It is fairly easy, and in my opinion you will be able to clear it even if you're new to the game. All you need are somewhat well-built characters and a little bit of an understanding how different elemental reactions work and how different team compositions work. Now before we start, let me point out that I am exclusively talking about the hard mode version, but everything I'm going to say can also be applied to the easier versions. The only real difference between all the different versions is that the hard mode will have level 90 enemies in it, and you also have to fight more enemies throughout your entire run. But that is kinda it. Specifically for the hard mode, you will need a total of 18 units, and out of those 18 characters, 6 of them will be heavily enhanced due to your fantastical blessings. And you can even use them as trial characters if you don't own them yourself. For this version of the Imaginarium Theater, those characters are going to be Arlecchino, Thoma, Chlorwind, Kuki Shinobu, the Wanderer and Faruzan. However, you also have to bring in some of your own characters. This time around, you're only allowed to use Anemo, Pyro and Electro units. Everything else will just not be available. And by the nature of this is also the only true challenge when it comes to the entire hard mode. If you don't have enough characters on your account, then you're kinda can't say the word, but you know what I mean, right? Now my only real tip here is that you should use a mixture of DPS units as well as support units. For support we are talking about characters like Bennett, Jiangling, Sucrose, Kujo, Sarah and so on. And for DPS units we are talking about our standard DPS units like Raiden Shogun, Yamiko, Jen Yung, Garming, Arlecchino and all of those other DPS units. Although Kazor can also be used as either a DPS or a support depending on what you want to do. Furthermore, the only real challenge besides having enough characters is the RNG element as to what characters are going to join your team over the course of your run. If you didn't know, picking those 18 characters does not mean you can use them right away. Instead, you will start with your opening characters and all the other characters are going to join your team as you progress through the Imaginarium Theater. Because of that, you can't really build precise teams unless you save up specific characters, but other than that you kinda have to go with whatever you get. And you also kinda need to know what characters work well in combination with other characters. For example, Faruzan works really well with the Wanderer, or Raiden Shogun and Kujo Sarah also make a really good team, although you don't see it too often. But when it comes to the actual enemies you have to fight, they are not really that complicated. There are a few more elements when it comes to your characters, like special guest characters or your supporting cast, which allows you to invite characters of your friends, but you can figure that one out for yourself. Instead, let us now move on to actually talking about the enemies you're going to face, as well as all those different systems you're going to encounter while doing your run. First up, each theater version has a variety of different boss fights. This time around we are going to face a Jade Plume Terror Shroud, a bunch of Vishaps, as well as our Cryo version of the Coppelius boss fight. That also means you can kinda build and use your characters with that in mind. Coppelius, for example, has a Cryo Shield, so you want to use Pyro characters like Arlecchino for that fight. The Jade Plume Terror Shroud does not really like Electro characters, and because of that, we bring Electro characters. On top of that, each character only has 2 vigor points. What does that mean? Super simple, you can only use those characters up to 2 times throughout your entire run, so keep that in mind when building your teams. Finally, each time you start another floor, or in this case another performance, you have the option of choosing between different effects. You can choose your enemies, you can choose different characters who are going to join your team, and you can choose different buffs. That is entirely up to you, but personally I would always go for new characters because that makes team building much easier. And like I said, the enemies themselves are not that challenging, so you don't really need those buffs. Also, as you can see down here, you can even refresh all the different events up to 2 times throughout your entire run. So in case you don't like any of the effects that are given to you, you can just get new ones, basically, just like in Star Rail, for example. There are a lot of different events, enemies and so on to choose from, and personally I would say to just go ahead and play it and find out what you like the most. And yeah, that is kinda it when it comes to the Imaginarium Theater. It is a fun game mode, but honestly not too challenging. As a tip, if you're struggling, try to use your weaker characters in the beginning so that you have your stronger characters like Arlecchino, Clorinde and so on for the later stages. Other than that, go ahead and farm some Primo Gems, buy your special character poses and let me know which ones you bought. Oh, and also for all those that asked for a V6 guide in Star Rail, I am currently working on that. So give me a day or two and it will be up as well. Thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more Genshin content or Star Rail content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.